Welcome everybody. We have a wonderful race today. Welcome back to the K-Octagon! In this corner we have patorikku13 versus HabKeineName. Hab right now is 5-0, going for that 6-0 record to clutch the Group A winner bracket. If he loses today, there's a chance for a 2 to 3-way tie, potentially. We'll see how that goes. Patorikku here currently has 1 loss, and I believe 3 wins? So Pat really hoping to grab this win today, too, to go for that tie. I think 4 wins, maybe. But yeah, it should be a really good race. Hab, as you can see, has that 1:59 time. Patorikku having a PB of a 1:56, so it has potential to be a very close race. I know Hab has had really great luck so far, so it could be anyone's game here with seeing a 1:59 in the last race. I know Pat has had some over 2-hour times, so yeah, I think PBs aside, we have a very close race here. I have my co-host here, Shane Zell, the run scientist, a very good resource for FF1 across the board. Hello, Shane.
Glad to be here, and hello everybody. This race should be beginning momentarily. And so it looks like, as expected, runners are using the standard party setup. Not very many people have deviated off of that so far.
Yep, I believe you're the only person who has done any other type of run comp other than the double black mage route with the warrior and the monk.
Everybody's just too scared.
Too scared, or just doing that tried and true world record comp of those 2 black mages to get us through quick fights, quick experience. The monk to be the heavy hitter. I believe the monk is pretty standard in most builds.
Yeah, he's generally going to be your best late game damage dealer. You can technically use anyone, including a black mage, as your late game damage dealer, but the monk is just the best. He doesn't need any equipment. While if you have the fighter, you're probably going to want to class change him to give him Excalibur, so you don't need very many buffs.
Yes, monk very powerful is what I'm hearing. And then the warrior to tank a bunch. How standard is the warrior in other team comps?
So the warrior is, from what I have seen, everybody's always used the warrior.
Okay,
At
so pretty
least as a
standard.
meat shield for the early game, then becomes a statue. But in some of the old routes, we actually used to use the fighter the whole game. Back when we class changed, we would have the fighter tanking with dragon armor and Aegis shield with a pro ring, and he resisted almost every element. And you could use a white mage as your main healer, and you would use 3 people to buff, and the white mage to heal. And you would just have a 4-man party for the whole game.
It must be nice not having Chaos have 20,000 HP to go against.
Yeah, and other versions of the game, Chaos is less HP, but also the power of the parties is also a lot less. So starting off here, both runners are just going to buy a rapier and a chainmail armor for their fighters, because the fighter is very gear reliant. Then we'll buy Thunder for both of the black mages, which will do around 40 damage to Garland and do good damage for all the early game encounters.
So is there any merit in grabbing any other gear here, Gil aside?
Technically, you could give the monk leather armor, and he could be a little bit tankier for the very early few levels. But you'd have to unequip it after a little while because it does hinder your evasion. Nunchucks for the monk doesn't really do much. And technically you could use the knives from your fighter and put that on a black mage so they have more accuracy, but it's not really something that people do.
Oh, looks like we might need a recrop here. Give me 1 second.
But yeah, Patorikku got a good encounter there with just a single wolf. A single enemy is great to see on the way to Garland, because you honestly just want the fights to be over with as quickly as possible. A single crazy horse is probably the best encounter, because it'll guarantee that you get up to level 3 after Garland. And if you can fight a single enemy before Garland, you're much less likely for your mages to get hurt, so that they fully survive the Garland battle, which everybody does survive for both runners, which is great to see. So here we have to talk to the princess. If you try and leave without talking to her, she'll say wait, and you'll see a very slow walk back to the princess to pick up your loot. In some past versions of the game, you could actually leave here without grabbing the loot, and have to come back much later in the game. See,
It's very cumbersome.
and here we are on the second long cutscene of the game. There are 3 long cutscenes at the beginning of the game. The opening cutscene, the building the bridge, then walking over the bridge. And after that, we don't really have to worry about cutscenes for quite some time. And the ones we do see later on are much shorter. So the walk to Provoca is an important one. The goal is to hit level 4 on the fighter, so that he can one-shot the pirates in the upcoming mini-boss battle. And we want the black mages to survive, because once they hit level 4, they have a guaranteed strong level up of hit points, and will actually get up to about 50 HP instead of having 20 something. Because you can't make it very far with mages with 20 hit points, because everything can one-shot them. I mean, to be fair, just about everything one-shots the black mages for the whole run, but if you want any extra bit of buffer, you can buy. So on this walk, you generally get into 3 encounters. And the encounter that we like to see the most is a single ogre. It's a relatively quick fight and gives good golden experience. What you don't want to see are large groups of enemies that can deal a lot of damage to us, and we cannot handle large packs of enemies yet because we don't have any AoE magic.
Yeah,
So
I think in the long term of things here, we just want just enough here. The longer fights, while some of them could be very lucrative, we can really make that up on the sea.
Yeah, the ocean, you definitely have there's so much money you can earn there, if you get lucky. You can get screwed over sometimes and just fight a few Sahagins and odd eyes, deep eyes, what are they called? Big eyes, there we go.
Big eyes, yeah. Or is it?
Big eyes are worth 10 gil. You don't want to see them, and they can paralyze you.
I think everyone's favorite encounter is the 2 big eyes, 6 Sahagin fight. It's just great for wasting your time and not much else.
Yeah. 2 goblin guards is a good start. Much better than seeing 3 crazy horse. At least Hob got a first strike, so we can hopefully take out 1.5 of them, or 2 of them right away.
So I know we talk about commentators curse a little bit. There's a slight delay, but I've been feeling that just these games can listen into the future and just give you exactly what you're talking about.
I mean, sometimes it just happens. Alright, Hob is gonna fight a sketchy encounter. The Gigas worms do a lot of damage, just like the ogre, but they're not worth much. This fight can really kill off your mages.
Well, looks like it might give it to him for free. We'll see if the ogre decides to say anything about it.
Looks good so far. He's out of spells though. But the ogre is playing nice and only hitting his melee characters. So he gets level 4 and has plenty of money to buy tempers.
Yep, one thing about the scary encounters is they do pay, either in experience or in that gil.
And sadly, he sees a double ogre battle,
Oh,
which would have been better if he ran from the Gigaswarm fight.
That just hurts to see. Everybody loves to see the 2 ogre fight. Just really good right there to just give you that assurity that buying these tempers is going to be okay. We'll be able to get to Elfheim without any grinding.
So both runners are picking up the double temper early on, which I think is pretty standard now. Not very many people skip the tempers.
Yeah, within the last couple months, it's definitely become a standard. It's worth it, and usually in a speedrun scenario, if you don't get there with enough gil, 8 minutes, it's an easy reset.
It looks like Patorikku's warrior is only level 3, and his mage is also. I mean, they all are. Since they don't have 50 hit points. Which makes the fight a little slower and a lot riskier. He does get the leather shield drop though, which we'll see if he puts that on for extra defense for his fighter.
Yeah, I don't see too much reason to not put on the leather shield. It's worth very little, but it's going to pay out in blocking a lot of damage on that warrior, saving you some potions. So your real money save is those potions you don't have to use along the way.
And have also getting the drop. It's nice to see both runners being equally favored. And looks like Patorikku will put it on before he goes outside. It can really save your fighter's lives. Especially from deadly encounters like this one. So the enemies we want to see the most in the ocean are Buccaneers, followed by Chiefs and Haggans. Now if you see a lot of sharks early on, it can be very scary, because they can 2-shot your mages and like 3-shot your monk. So you have to be very careful with them.
Yeah, even scarier is the one we just saw Patorikku flee from, was able to get away without dying. The 3 Sahagins, 2 sharks, really good for experience. All things considered, good for gil with those red Sahagins, but can definitely be very scary with those only 51 health, down to 15 on that bottom slot.
Yeah, so the Buccaneers are worth 120 gold apiece, and we are trying to earn at minimum like 1500 gil for going to Elfland. We need 1000 of that to buy Thundara, then we need like a minimum of 500 to buy some supplies for Marsh Caves. And we want to get this fight right here with 5 Buccaneers for 600 gold.
You might see us sometimes, Pat's going for the attack Thunder strat instead of Temper. Just as lucrative in finishing the fight, it's just that with the Temper, we do get those assured hits off from the fighters.
Yeah, with a good turn order tempering, you can take out 2 of the Buccaneers in round 1. Then for round 2, you can take out 2 with your melee characters and 1 with the mages. So you can make that into a 2-round battle if you get lucky with your tempers.
Unfortunate death on the monk, but being here in Cornelia, we only need 40 gil?
Yep, 40 gil to revive, that is correct. 40 gil to revive and 30 for the game.
So very cheap here for Patorikku to make up that death. And a nice spread of gil from that 5 Buccaneer fight. Looks to still be grinding though for more encounters.
I think he can take this now. It'll be worth a lot of experience. I personally would temper the melee characters to beat up the sharks in this fight.
I would agree on that one. Yeah, temper and then leave the mages to try to take out the Sahagins early. Could work out, but unfortunately that bottom mage getting hit hard early on is going to slow down this fight considerably.
but at least he'll survive the fight, and whoever survives it will gain some good XP, and it's still pretty good gold. He's gonna get over 400 bucks for finishing that battle, which is acceptable, and he should be ready to run down to Elfland after this fight, and after he revives. Because you want to revive at Corneria, not Elfland. Elfland, it costs 200 gold to revive.
Unfortunately, we're seeing death on both the mages, so not getting that level up there on either one. Really hoping for that next big level up to get 70. 70s usually smooths it out. But, nope. Meanwhile, Hab here in Elfheim looking to move forward.
Yeah, he's going to have to take some extra battles. I'm assuming he's not going to try to run through the Marsh Cave with like 4 potions. Because he only has 200 gil left over after using the inn, and that is not enough money to make it through Marsh Cave.
Meanwhile, probably one of my favorite fights is the 2 chiefs, 1 shark. We'll get some decent experience, some decent gold, and we can clear it usually pretty quick with little risk.
Yeah, it's much less deadly than when there are 2 extra enemies there. I mean, my favorite is, of course, the 5 Buccaneers. But the next best one is the 2 Chief Sahagins.
I think everyone's favorite fight is that 2 Buccaneers, especially if you have that Thundara.
Yeah, Thundara makes quick work of all of the aquatic encounters. So right now, your black mages have a very high chance of one-shotting every aquatic enemy. The only one you're not guaranteed to one-shot are the sharks. Sometimes your Thundara can do 118 to 119 damage, and they have 120 hit points. So if you see some sharks there, you can actually throw out a melee attack from one of your fighters, and that can still finish off the fight in 1 round.
Decent fight here for Pat, getting that $3. Looks like still wants more. Wow, each runner really just ramping up the gil.
It doesn't hurt, and some runners try to get level 8 on the black mages before they go to Marsh Cave, so that you have 3 casts of Thundara, and level 8 also is the second guaranteed strong level up for the black mage's hit points. Wow, both of his black mages are looking pretty healthy.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting same luck from last run, where he's just getting all of the HP level ups. Just nothing holding him back to saying, we want those 20s. No 1s and 2s for us.
So there are strong level ups that are just guaranteed strong HP for your characters, and there's also a 1 in 8 chance that on your regular level, where you don't have guaranteed points, that you can gain them also. And relying on getting a bunch of those 1 out of 8s isn't something that usually happens. You just have to hope for luck to get them normally.
I think Hab's gonna try to probably grind for that second Thundara, 1000 gil. Meanwhile, Pat is going with the 1 Thundara. Decided to pick up a tent and very healthy on those antidotes and potions here.
So I'm guessing he'll probably use 2 Thundaras on the way down there and try to hit level 8. This is another good one to take.
Yeah, that looks to be the case. I'm not sure if he bought 2 tents. If he did, then he'll be able to use 1 instead of a cottage before Astos and be in a really good spot to one-shot or one attempt Astos.
I like the quick saving here. You can get unlucky on some encounters.
Oh yeah, I definitely like the quick saves in race scenario. It's a little slow, but it's only a few seconds, and with that death, he can choose to easily just reset here.
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to take the fight to hit level 8, so his bottom mage gets out of the 50 HP range. 50 hit points on the Pisco Demons, you're not surviving.
Yeah, very ironic though that the lower HP mage is the one that survived that fight.
Yeah, once your characters get paralyzed, they take 25% more melee damage from characters hitting them.
A much more manageable fight here with the only 2.
But sadly, this won't be enough experience to level him up. And Hab caught right back up and is now in the lead. So you were right, Patorikku did buy 2/10.
It's a strat I like to use if I get a good amount of gil and I do not buy that Thundar. So he had, I think, 2,300, which would have been very light on the item buy. It could work out with 2 Thundars, but this is definitely much safer with the potions and antidotes on 2/10.
So I'm not sure if he was meaning to take this shadow battle, but it should get him up to level 8 at least. Oh, nope, 8 XP short. That's unfortunate.
Well, maybe we'll see some gray oozes on the way down.
Yeah, Grey Ooze are actually worth more XP than an Ogre. And it always hurts me when I see people run from them, because they are easy to kill. And they are worth more than an Ogre for XP.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. Just like I like the Neo Ochu on the river. The gray oozes are very, very valuable here in Marsh Cave.
I can understand running from Neochu when your mages have not hit their 30 intelligence yet. Because you can't two-shot them with Fire-Ega.
What we're hoping not to see, scorpions and gargoyles. Usually scorpions are a little bit meaner to you. Ooh.
Just like that. Scorpions have the capability of one-shotting your mages, as we see here in full force. They appear to be a lot more common in this version than they originally were, which is unfortunate. So we'll see 2 different strategies on Pisca Demons. Some runners like to use Thundara on one character and just defend with everybody else, and other people will just go all-out offense right away and hope for good turn order.
Yep, no real wrong or right way to go about that. Well, maybe there's some wrong ways, but both strats there, either just Thundara defend or Thundara attack, could prove valuable either way around, depending on how it does for damage rolls.
Yeah, I feel like that I'm usually pretty unlucky, and so I like to just defend with my team first and see how the Thundara does, because Thundara has a chance to one-shot the Pisca Demons if it hits for 84.
And Pat just getting hit with bad encounter after bad encounter. It's very unfortunate to see.
Hab is opting to take the Gargoyle fight. They are worth acceptable experience. It's just a little scary if they hit your mages. They can do a lot of damage in one swing. Because they actually have 4 attacks in one round. And our mages don't have any absorption yet. And Patorikku is really struggling to run here.
Yeah, I like to call this point of the game the flea locks. We have stun locks, which we can't move, but in this version of the game, you're not as sure to flee if you do flee. There are flee checks. Usually I notice about 3 turns after that you can usually flee if it's particularly bad, but you can see ones where it just keeps giving you the bad luck on the flee attempts.
And this is actually the first version of Final Fantasy I where if you get a preemptive strike, you are not guaranteed to flee from it. In every other version of the game, if you get a preemptive strike, you can flee right away with no problems. So Hab is about to start off his fight with Aston, the first real challenging boss fight of the game.
Looks like Patorikku's gonna go for those gray oozes.
Gray oozes are worth a lot of XP. Gets his mages up a little bit more hit points.
Yep.
But yeah, Astos is very RNG heavy. He has a lot of different spells he can use on your character. I'm guessing Patorikku's gonna try and keep this run right here. With only the death on his Black Mage is acceptable. Because nobody really cares about the fighter.
Yeah, and I believe he's within the new school of thought of leaving that warrior dead, give a better split to the monk and the mages. Definitely an interesting strat to see.
Ooh, double Thundara. You hate to see it on Hab's side. So Astos has two AoE spells you can use, Fire and Thundara. And if you cast those twice, your whole team's likely to be wiped.
And I heard also he has a chance of high rolling and low rolling here, either doing around 80 damage to over 100 damage sometimes.
Yeah, so it's pretty rare, but every enemy in the game, at least all the bosses, have a random roll of luck every time you fight. And if they roll really high on luck, their spells can actually do more damage than normal. And he can hit you for over 100 damage with his Tier 3 magic spells. Slower on the monk, that's annoying, but it's not the end of the run. At least his mages can still help take out Astos. Astos meleeing, casting haste on himself, or casting sleep are probably the best things you can see him do.
Doing a hard reset, getting flea lock and stun locked here. Just terrible to see.
Yeah, Patorikku is not having a very friendly early game. While Hab managed to beat Astos on the second try. Second try Astos is expected. You can't always hope to just take him out in one try, because he'll just unexpectedly just murder your whole team.
Yep, 2 rounds of those AoE spells, and there's really nothing you can do at all at that point.
So I don't know if Patorikku used his Phoenix down already, or I'm guessing he's probably waiting till after he gets outside and can use the 10. Because I think he's out of potions.
Oh, that's a little bit rough.
Made it through the Grey Ooze fight. I'm expecting a save here, and hopefully he doesn't get another encounter.
Looks like he does have a few potions left over. He might be choosing to save them.
Well, at least he made it out of the marsh cave. Yeah, Hab's mages got some early strong level ups, and have been looking quite healthy. His monk, on the other hand, is at like minimum HP, which is fine for now, because the monk doesn't really need HP. He has plenty of time to gain those levels later on.
Yeah,
and
he's really
Patorikku
close.
cannot get away from these scorpions. They are everywhere.
It looks like he unfortunately already used his Phoenix down, so it's probably, yeah, it looks like he's gonna defend, reset on that quick save here.
Sometimes this game is just not nice with the amount of terrible encounters you can get. Scorpions are an enemy that you really shouldn't be seeing until later in the game. I'm not sure why they decided to throw them all over the map here. In the NES version of this game, the scorpions on the overworld here were a 1 in 64 encounter. Now
Yeah,
they feel like they're like a 1 in 8 now.
1 in 8, 1 in 4, who knows?
Yeah, they're
It's
everywhere.
just chaos.
And in Marsh Cave, they used to be a 3 in 64 encounter, and now I also feel like they're like a 1 in 8.
The last encounter for Pat here looks to be an easy one. Hopefully, quick fleet. Nice.
And
Out of
his
there.
characters are full hit points for Athos without having to use his last potion.
No use of potion. Doesn't have to use the cottage. Can be able to sell that later on for a 1,000 gil gain. It's
So
very
I'm
nice
actually
to trade that
kind
for a
of
tent.
surprised that he didn't put his monk on the bottom slot. Since he doesn't have the fighter to soak hits here, I'm assuming he's going to be using Tempers because he already used Thundara. So his monk is going to be the prime target of any single target abilities. So having your monk on the top can be very sketchy for that.
Oh, fire up. The bottom mage got off that temper, so we're looking pretty good. Already doing 210. Already doing 210 for that. Very nice start.
Oh, he's not doing much now that he got slowed.
He still has that Thundara. Haste is great to see. I think this is it's going to work out here for him.
One more round, but just his monk. I don't know if you want to keep that with only the monk being alive. It can be very difficult to run back to Elfland, because the monk is the lowest chance to run away from enemies at this point in the game.
I think he's going to take it with the time. Monk will be able to take a few hits. He does have that additional potion. I suspect, yeah, looks like he's going to go ahead and take it.
And he'll use his last potion, so as long as he gets some lucky fleas.
6-pack, not what you want to see.
But yeah, the monk is the worst character at running away for pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, we were looking at the starting stats there. Starting off, I believe, with 5 luck compared to the Black Mage's 10. By now, probably has about 7, maybe 8. But still, Black Mage's outclassing on that luck stat.
Yeah, Black Mages have the best flea chance up until about the mid-30s. Then Thieves finally start to break ahead of them. Which you would think the Thief would be higher always, but no. In this version of the game, and many others, the Black Mages just happen to be the best at running away. So Hab here finished up some of his fetch quests and picked up the Mystic Key. With the Mystic Key, we're now able to unlock a lot of lucrative value treasure chests. And lots of good items we can acquire from the many different locked chests, which will help us buy all of the spells and equipment or items we need for the upcoming dungeon.
Yeah, pretty integral to this route are the chests you buy in this section. Without them, there would be need for a bit of grinding, as the next actual, you can consider it like fight or flight area, very intensive for needing level ups, needing to take fights. So the guild here is very much welcome to avoid having to stay on the sea and grinding for more buccaneers.
And so our runners are going to be keeping their fighter dead for a little while, because the fighter's experience is no longer important. But we do need our Black Mages to hit level 12 for the next mini-boss, and level 15 for the next major boss. So we want to try and push all the XP onto them that we can.
Very easy sea encounters compared to earlier, where we can just Thundara. Chance to low roll on the sharks with the 120 HP, but still very, very quick, all things considered.
Yeah, and Patorikku's mages are going to need a little bit of extra work because they did not survive through the Astos fight. And Astos is worth a whole lot of XP.
Imagine what we're going to see here with the non-Firebuy is we're going to grab that silver armlet. It's going to end up on that bottom mage to soak up a little bit of that damage, which personally I think is a good choice over the Fires. I know Pat's very, very good about spell use during Earth Cave.
Yeah, Hab does not have much gil, so yeah, it looks like he's not saving up for getting a silver armlet. Some runners will choose to buy a silver armlet when they get to Elf or to Melmond. It's a bit of extra safety for your mage's survivability, but that also means that you're having less potions and ethers.
Oh, definitely. He's going to have to get lucky with his sea encounters if he does want to buy it. Probably going to have to grab Buccaneer fights. Even that might be a little bit short, depending on how many he gets. Might need that Groger fight to be able to make it up, but most likely will not have the extra 4,000 for that silver armlet.
Yeah, if you're trying to play it safe, that ensure that you're going to be able to purchase a silver armlet, you'll want to save up at least 1,600 to 2,000 gil when you're at the Canaria shop before you leave. To ensure you can buy a silver bracelet.
Yeah, for reference, I've tried to save. I've saved usually about 14 to 15 and still end up short by 1,000. So it definitely comes down to your fights on the sea as well, as you don't get a lot of cells to get you past that 12,000 mark.
So as Chad has mentioned, there are no RNG manips for your level up stats. Everything in this game is like frame based for when you get into encounters and everything. And the odds of getting strong level ups on your mage's hit points, like Ab's mages, are quite healthy. That's just luck. You have a 1 out of 8 chance to gain bonus stats when you level up. So he has just gotten lucky multiple times in multiple runs. It happens sometimes. I think in the last race, one of our runners had a lot of HP on their monk, while their mages weren't that healthy, which is something that does happen.
Yep. And as we saw in Hab's first wipe, I believe the first person to go down was his almost 400 HP mage. So at Chaos, it doesn't really matter how much those mages have for HP. It helps, but they could be the first to be hit down. It is very helpful though for the rest of the way, as that will reduce the amount of possibly potions you need to use, as you have more room to just wait before you potion up, as well as a better chance you won't need those Phoenix Downs.
So as Chad has asked, Patorikku actually moved his monk to the top slot, instead of being in slot 2. That is so when enemies target him for attacking, they're much more likely to hit the monk than the fighter. Enemies cannot target your dead character and actually swing at them. So the character in the top slot has a 50% chance to be targeted, while your character in slot 2 only has a 25% chance. So if his monk is in slot 2 right now with the fighter being dead, his mages are way more likely to be targeted, and his mages don't have the health to be able to survive those swings. Like when Hab was running through, his mages were tankier than his monk, so he didn't mind if his mages took a couple extra swings, so he didn't bother switching around the party order.
Yeah, I believe it redistributes proportionally, so if you leave that fighter dead in the top slot, the 50, 25, 12 and a half, 12 and a half turns into a 50, 25, and 25, compared to if you leave the monk in the first slot. He has that 50, and I believe that turns into a 62% chance.
2.5, yep.
So it gives you just 12% better chances to hit that monk compared to just leaving him in that same slot.
And that's how it works for all single target attacks. Now if there's AoE spells that are going to go off, they're going to hit your party no matter what. And that won't be changed at all. It's just a targeting thing. So Hab about to enter Earth Cave here. We just bought a lot of supplies, and it's solely for Earth Cave. We have to make 2 runs through this dungeon, because our first time through we can only make it halfway through the dungeon. Then we have to run back out, grab another key item, and come back in. And so Hab is now hit level 12 on one of his mages. So he will finally be able to cast the Patorikku spell that he just acquired, once he uses an ether on the mage.
Meanwhile, Pat heading up to Dwarf Cave.
So Hab chose to revive his fighter in town because it's cheaper than using a Phoenix down on him. Some runners, as long as they had enough experience and they're comfortable with how much XP their mages have gotten, will revive the fighter in town so that he can be alive for the Earth Cave, because on floor 3 we need to turn him into a statue, and he must be alive for that. and reviving in town will cost 40 gil compared to reviving with a Phoenix down in mid-dungeon costs 500 gil. And Patorikku's mages are much lower level, so he needs all the extra experience. So he kinda has to bite the bullet and revive using a Phoenix down. And so now Hab is on floor 3 of Earthcave. And this is where we want to start to find the Cockatrice battle, which has a chance to petrify our characters on a melee attack. The sooner you see it, the better, because once your top 2 characters become petrified, they no longer need to be healed. They'll still be targeted the same amount of times, but they just won't be taking any more damage. And we also don't have to tell them to defend every single round. So it really helps speed things up. And your melee characters actually don't add much to your flee chance in the early game either. And here's the Cockatrice battle.
And for reference here, you're more likely, if you get cockatrices here in Earth Cave, you're assured that they're only going to be cockatrices. They're not going to be mixed with anything else. If you do miss it here, you have a chance at encountering them, or Pyrolisks with Gaze, if you can get that to proc, in Ice Cavern, but there's more likely a chance to be mixed with mummies and whatnot that you'll have to single kill first to be able to reliably get that petrification that you want. So it's a lot faster to get done in Earth Cave. And I believe it's also a better chance to be petrified, because the higher level you get, the less likely it is for that to actually proc the petrification.
Hab definitely got petrified pretty fast there. I believe it was 2 rounds of combat, which is 8 total, which is pretty quick. I don't think he got it in 1 round, but it's possible it was only 1 round. And now he wants to take as many fights as possible to try to level up his mages up to 15. Because we want to be 15 at a minimum for Lich. And Patorikku finally making it down to Melmond, where he now gets to sell off his Dwarven treasury and purchase Fire Aegis spells.
Looks like he is going up to the weaponsmith. A little bit short for that silver armor buy.
Yeah, if he had 1,000 more gil from random encounters, he could sell a cottage and have purchased it. But he did not have the money.
Meanwhile, we see Vampire go down on Hab's screen.
Vampire generally isn't too difficult of a battle. He goes down in 2 Fire Aegis, and he is more than likely not going to hurt your team. He does have a small chance to melee your mages and one-shot them, but if you have very tanky mages like Hab does, they can still survive a punch, which we saw.
Gotta love a tanky mage.
Yeah, tanky mages are nice to see in the early game. Patorikku's mages have not been as healthy. But Patorikku's monk is healthier, so hopefully that'll pay off in the late game. But yeah, the 3rd floor of Earth Cave actually has a lot of enemies on it that can hurt your team pretty bad. They're in large groups mostly, and it is definitely recommended to try to quick save at least a couple times through the floor, because it is a very lengthy floor.
I like to think of it as there's a lot of enemies that just really want to give me their gil and experience.
Cockatrice is not laying off on the petrification, but he should have at least 1 gold needle laying around. Looks like he has 2.
Yep, and if you don't have any, by killing that cockatrice fight, you have a good chance of getting a gold needle drop. You can see up to 2, I believe, with a 4 stack.
I mean, technically you can have 4 drop at once. It's just
Well,
you'd have to get very lucky for that.
yeah, if we want to play the odds, then sure, 4.
I mean, in my last race, I think I got 5 random drops. I didn't need any of them, but they were dropping them. So Patorikku's about to enter the 3rd floor, and hopefully he'll find the cockroach battles pretty quickly. And I'm assuming he'll revive his fighter once he gets onto that floor. But if he's not feeling comfortable on his XP, he might wait even longer to revive the fighter.
Yep, he also has the option of trying to revive the fighter in the cockatrice fight itself.
Yeah, you could do that. They only hit for 1 damage. So you can just throw a potion on him after the heal and be fine. And I've seen a couple runners actually wait to revive the fighter until much later in the run. And to get him petrified on some of the forced encounters that a Cockatrice have had. But that comes with its own set of risks. Because there are a lot more enemies in the later on fights. So Hab is done with his first dive of Earth Cave, and most runners will use a tent as soon as they're done to recharge their spell charges for Black Mages. A tent will restore 200 HP to your team, and 2 spell charges to each level of magic. And with 4 spells on each of your mages, you can generally take out every fight to Sardis Cave and back. Then you can use a cottage before going into the Earth Cave again, and you'll be set. So it looks like Patorikku's not going to revive the fighter and just try and have the monk be his solo tank.
It is an interesting strat.
I mean, it can definitely work out. He just has to be wary that his mages are more likely to be targeted than Hab's are, since Hab has the extra statue to soak up that extra 25% of the attacks.
You know, when you're going fast, there's just some risk you need to take, and this is one that Pat really, I guess, feels that needs to happen. And I mean, it's not a bad one. It's an interesting.
It does put a lot more XP onto your party members that you care about. That's unfortunate. It'll take probably 2 Thundaras to kill off the vampire now, since the vampire does heal up every turn.
Smacked for 146. But it looks, I'm not sure if I saw that correctly, but level 15 already here at Vampire. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're... It's not quite 15 yet, he only has 2 charges. Or it might have been 15. No, he didn't beat the vampire fight. But yeah, he's at least 13 right now, which helps when your fighter's dead, you gain more levels. But yeah, the vampire wasn't playing very nice for him. Yeah, we'll see when Patorikku decides to revive. My guess will be it won't be until the trap tile at Waterfall or in Sea Shrine. I don't think you'll try and revive him in Ice Cave. So yeah, his mages are 14 now. And one of Hab's black mages already has 200 HP.
Whoa.
You'll love to see that. Black mages are not guaranteed to have 200 HP at level 30. Just for some perspective there. So it looks like our runners will be passing by each other here in a little bit. Hab is now on his way down to Lich. Lich is the first real difficult fight of the game. Like, Astos is a little challenging, but Lich is like an actual roadblock. If he says you aren't passing, you aren't. So Lich has multiple AoE spells that he can cast that will two-shot your team if they're as healthy as Habs. Or if they aren't healthy, he can even one-shot your mages. Like Patorikku's bottom mage is not guaranteed to survive a Blizzara. And that is the most common thing for Lich to do, is cast Blizzara. You generally want your mages to have about 140 hit points for going up against Lich. That's like the safe level to survive one Blizzara. We have to survive 4 turns against Lich. So odds are he's going to cast Blizzara at least once. And looks like Patorikku did get a strong level up on his bottom mage. So both of his mages will survive Lich, at least 1 round guaranteed. And another thing before we get up to Lich is sometimes, not very often, but sometimes your mages gain enough intelligence early on that they can do bonus damage up against it. So normally your Fire Aga spells are only going to be doing about 180 to 190 damage. Well, if you end up hitting 30 intelligence, your mages can do 270 damage instead. An extra 90 points of damage on there goes a long ways. Yeah, sometimes it just works out that way, that your mages have more HP than your monk. It's nice to see in the early game. As long as his monk starts to gain HP later on, it'll be perfectly fine. And we have a long while until we start to worry about that monk's hit point. The monk doesn't need HP until like 45 minutes from now. Titan the Ruby, so he can make his way to Sarda to get that Earth Rock, so he can try and get back into the Earth Cave. I haven't seen any tiger fights yet, but I definitely could have missed some. An enemy that we like to see on this little area of the game are lesser tigers. And they have a chance of dropping X potions, which are full heal items that we need for the chaos fight. You need a minimum of 2, but most runners will pick up 3 for safety. Speaking of lesser tigers, but sadly, no X potion drop. If you get 1 to 2 X potions to drop, you can easily save like a minute and a half of time of not having to go pick up the extra X potion and elixir in the Cardia Isles. So there are 4 full heal items in the game. And there are 3 of them that are not that far out of the way. The fourth full heal item, you really have to go out of your way to go gather it, and it will cost you like minimum of like 2 minutes of time to pick it up.
This is the one on the Malirworth floor, I believe.
Yes, in the Temple of Fiends, there is a treasure chest that's very far out of the way. And looks like Hab's about to start his Lich fight, so for good RNG here.
Oh, a single tiger fight. It's very rare. Usually see them in packs or in 3 counts. Usually don't see them alone.
There was the Blizzara that is so common to see. Lich can easily take out runners for multiple minutes if he's just being nasty.
Pat getting probably one of the nastier fights outside. Lucrative fight, but can be quite dangerous. Looks like 2 Frogas, easy clear there.
Hab's mage to hit that famous 30 intelligence mark.
Oh, Blizzara again. Ooh, and high roll too. 160.
Yep, Lich had the luck this time. And he made sure to weaken the mages with melee attacks first before he cast his spell.
Yep, tenderize them real quick. Lich really doing work here to give Pat a fighting chance after that tough start. So I think we're gonna close the distance here pretty soon with this Lich fight.
And this is what I was talking about, how Lich can really be a roadblock. If he just doesn't play nice, he will eat up your time. Double fire also. If he goes for his AoE spells, that's just gonna take your characters out. Even with Hab's mages being very healthy, it's just what can happen. And Patorikku's mages are a little bit higher level, with his Spider King dead.
One mage up there at 175 for his lowest, so we'll be able to survive that high roll if we do see it on Pat's screen.
And maybe Patorikku will get the high intelligence by the time he gets up to Lich. Can always hope for that.
Yeah, I think it's very likely, taking all those fights without the warrior, I think we're going to have a good likelihood of seeing that intellect higher than Hab's chances, as we'll probably see level 17, maybe 18 here. I know Pat's been taking a lot of encounters.
I mean, that's a strategy, just have your mages be higher level. Oh, he revived the fighter, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, probably hoping here for that Coxus fight, but regardless, the warrior is already super tanky. Having it up there really is going to help out those black mages not get hit at all.
There goes another Blizzara. He's still in the fight, as long as he doesn't get hit with more AoE. That was a good turn. Now next turn, he just needs good turn order. He needs one Thundara to take out Lich.
Oh, hit with Blizzara.
Lich just not being nice. All he needed was one Thundara before he got nuked there. And Patorikku is catching up real fast.
One of the downsides to not having 30 intellect, you're seeing it right now. Hab would have already cleared this fight and not had to deal with just all these resets. Oh, Blizzara opener. Not the best start. Probably the worst start. But what's great about Final Fantasy 1 is there's no turn order to spells. So just like Chaos, you can see him just punch somebody and then do absolutely nothing for the rest of the way. We could see that with Lish, where you just get the easiest Lish. And I think this is the other side of the coin, because last time Hab coming through on all these boss fights was just getting, you know, easy street, not getting attacked, no resets. So I think, as Hab was saying earlier, this is all that good luck turning around, and we're seeing Lich just give it right back.
Yeah, at this point, I would try and take a couple extra steps before starting the Lich battle, just to try to have different RNG at the beginning of the fight. Since everything is frame-based, a lot of times when you're resetting the game, you're starting off fights on some of the same frame. And if all the frames that you're constantly starting the battles on seem bad, but what do I know? He just beat the fight.
Yep, all through. Here's Pat coming up to floor 5. We're pretty much almost returned to neck and neck.
And if Patorikku gets a first try Lich, he'll only be a couple minutes behind.
He is on floor 5, so there is no chance of seeing those cockatrices. So that warrior is going to stay up here for the Lich fight, which isn't entirely bad. It's still going to be soaking up single hits since it is alive. It just won't be able to continue once it's dead.
I don't think he bought any high potion, but there is a strategy that I have used in the past on Lich fights. When your characters aren't the best at surviving things, you can throw out high potions mid-fight just to keep them up. But I don't think that's going to be the case here.
That would be an interesting strat to see here with the warrior up. Yeah, but we're not going to see it. Usually we don't grab high potions until Crescent Lake because we don't have the funds. Potions are they are a little bit slower, but they do allow you to get more healing per gil. So a little better spread on that. No threshold either for Patorikku.
That sucks to see because he had the extra levels.
Looks like we are going to get a potion throw.
And he can survive a second Blizzara now, or a second Pyra. So there's that.
Probably going to throw another potion on the bottom mage. Yep. And not even needed. First try, Lich goes down.
And that helps even up the race again. Looks like Hab is stopping off in Melmon to buy 2 silver bracelets. So he's going to be short on funds in Crescent Lake.
Crescent Lake is one of the places that I do not like having short on funds. You can thoughts. You can have lesser funds there, but usually it becomes pretty integral for your next segment.
Yeah, I mean, some runners I've seen take a few extra fights around the Crescent Lake area. If you fight like double giant battles, you can get your money back pretty quickly there, while still getting a little bit of XP. But Hab is probably going to go into Ice Cave pretty short on potions. So he might need to make an early trip for buying items again before the waterfall. But we'll see how it goes. That's one really nice thing in this run, is there are so many different strategies that people employ. Like Patorikku didn't stop by Melmon and is just going straight to Crescent Lake. So he's not buying the armor for his mages.
Yeah, so many different strategies, and I think with that allows you a great levity in being able to pivot when needed. With 180 HP, I'm pretty sure Pat feels really good about going to Ice Cave right now. Not as great as Hobbs 200, but personally, 180 going into Ice Cave feels really nice.
I have like 180 hit points of my mages going into the Chaos Shrine.
Yes,
So
a
it
better
could be
alternative
worse.
there. Yeah, he should be able to reach, with 3 good strong HP ups, he'll be able to reach that 240 threshold for sure.
This ancient fight here is worth over 4,000 experience for your party, which is the most XP we've seen in a random encounter this whole run. It is very nice to see. Now, the money you get from it isn't great. You're only getting about $1,000 from that fight. But the XP is great.
Especially 2 in a row here. Great to see. And you can see that warrior, even though not petrified, still tanking every single shot for Pat. $37,000 gil. With most of the guides I see, that's about where you need to be. He still has some sells he can do here, so I think he's going to be able to get all the items that he wants.
So yeah, our runners are pretty close now.
Yep, they high-fived coming in and going out of the item shop here. Did Hab go get Thundiga first, though?
Yes, he went first because he didn't have much money. Then he quickly realized, oh hey, I'll have items to sell. So then he went back to the item shop, which cost him a little bit of time that patorikku will be able to use here to catch up.
So something I like to see, this pivot as well on patorikku. Patorikku decides to max out potions instead of going for the high potions. A little bit slower because you'll need 3 potions to get the same healing effect. As we talked before, better for your gil, so we can max that out. Have a better bang for your buck when you are healing up, so we get to use those full 50s instead of spending a 150 on, like, say, a 100 HP heal. So a little better, but a little bit slower. I personally like that that variation. What do you think about that, Shane?
I'm actually a big fan of buying the high potions. I understand buying the potions, and if I'm short on money, I'll only buy potions. But I definitely prefer to buy the high potions instead, because I want to get those potions out of my inventory as soon as I can, so that I'm only using high potions.
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely a way to go. And as you can see, just both your commentators here having different ideas. It's just, again, goes to show that the difference in the ways you can do it. No wrong way per se, as the game could prove any strategy almost correct, depending on the RNG you get.
As long as you are buying potions. If you
Yes,
choose not to buy them, that's a problem. That's the wrong way.
That's the wrong way. We have a question in chat from JD Silvergun. Did the fighter just not get petrified, or was it a choice by the runner?
So patorikku did make the choice. His mages did not survive the Astos fight and were very low on experience early game. So patorikku decided to keep his fighter dead until his second trip through the Earth Cave. And he was planning on getting his fighter petrified the second trip through Earth Cave so that his mages would get bonus XP, but he just happened to not fight cockatrices on the second time through. So it was partially choice for how he did it, but then also just bad luck that he never found the cockatrice enemies again. So he's going to hope to find some here in the Ice Cave. It looks like our runners are here at like the same exact time now.
So two things I want to point out real quick. Looks like one mage on Pat's screen got the intellect up. Looks like Hab got a Neo Ochu, what we were talking about before. Had to do 3 spells. Got hit down to 1 HP. which was very lucky considering HP.
Yeah, the Neocho is a great battle when you can actually take it out in one round. They're worth a good amount of XP and not terrible gold, I believe.
Yeah, it's not too terrible. They're so a lot. If you look at the bestiary, if you do own this game, you'll notice that as you see on Pat's screen here, you have the same drawing of a character, but they're different based on color. You're usually 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 on experience and gil. So Neo Ochu, I know the experience is almost 3 times that of the Ochu. And you can pretty much take that to the bank for most encounters. You're going to get a 2 to 3-to-1 better odds on the tougher encounter for either gil or experience. One caveat I can point out right away is that the Evil Eye compared to Death Eye. Evil Eye is good, while Death Eye just gives you 1 experience, 1 gil.
You mean you don't want to farm the Phantom encounter to get a level?
Yeah, we'll go for the level. But I believe it does give you an elixir drop. Has a chance at that.
It has a 1% chance to drop an elixir. I've had it happen to me once, and that's it.
I think I've also seen it just once. Very rare. One thing I do want to point out, an interesting strat here, having the warrior up, you're able to do a split decision. You don't see that a lot in Ice Cave, since you usually are using both of your mages to clear an encounter. Pat's able to do a split decision here with the Flea on top, and then the spell charges on the bottom for these encounters he does not want to take. And I think that is actually a cool variation if you do have the warrior up here in Ice Cave.
Yeah, it's just like if you decide to unpetrify your monk early on. A lot of runners can use the monk to try to flee out of those same encounters, which I'm all for that. That's extra time save if your character goes first. So there are some good treasure chests here coming up, but most runners will avoid these ones because they just aren't as good as they used to be, and they're a little bit out of the way.
I think the one that I think Pat is one of the ones that does go for this 10k gil on one of these pass-throughs. I'm not sure about Had though.
I usually pick up the 10k if I'm doing a race setting. PB pace, I'll usually skip it.
I think the only time I've ever picked up the money here is when I decide to when I was learning originally where everything was.
So Hab has fought in 2 of the battles that patorikku wants to see with the cockatrice. And patorikku hasn't seen that battle once.
Nope, but he will get a chance also in Waterfall Cave. Again, every level that the warrior goes up, his magic defense is also slowly creeping, has a chance to creep higher here. So the odds of getting that petrification or that good petrification are dwindling as we speak.
Yeah, every level just makes it slightly harder for the fighter to become petrified. The Evil Eye here has a chance to petrify him also. But the Evil Eye does go down pretty quickly, and you don't want to just sit there on the Evil Eye waiting turn, because he can just nuke your team down if you just wait too long.
Yep, one of the also things you can cast is Silence, which we do not have any Echo Grasses, and is very detrimental because we are using the Black Mages for their magic. So that Silence there could cause a reset. It's a little shame to see sometimes, but it can happen.
I actually forgot all about the Silence spell.
Yeah, it happened to me once. It was very very fun.
You can get a random drop of an Echo Grass on the way here. From some of the undead, I think 1 or 2 undead encounters can drop an Echo Grass. I usually just try to sell it so it's not in my inventory. So yeah, as expected, the runners will be passing up on the treasury room in the Ice Cave.
Very interesting for Pat. He must be feeling very good about his gil at this moment. He usually gets it.
It could also be if he's realizing that his run is not going as well as he would like it to, that he just wants to go fast.
Yep. Interesting also, having gotten that leather shield, the warrior is able to almost act like he is petrified when he is able to block. So even a better strategy here when you do have that leather shield for the warrior. If he did get an ice shield drop, I would imagine he might have tried to put that ice shield on. I think he might have picked it up.
You do pick up the ice shield, but I don't think he actually equipped it. But yeah, the fighter can use the ice shield, and so can the ninja.
Pat looking really good on that HP right now. Both mages over 200. The monk sitting at 250, which is not too bad this stage in the game, but in a really good spot to be able to pick and choose which fight he wants.
And a lot of these battles on the river are very deadly. Those white crocs can one-shot your mages. Well, not having 200 HP, it's not likely, but there's a chance. If they crit you, they can still kill you.
Yeah, we saw that Hydra just hit for 124. This five pack here, 3 Hydras, getting an ambush here could prove deadly. So even if you take the white crocs out of it, it could still turn into a bad scenario.
And so all of our mages hit that level 30 mark now. By the time you hit level 20, it's guaranteed. So all of our mages will be doing the expected amount of damage for the rest of the game. You can get lucky and hit 40 intellect before the end of the game, but that's not very common.
Not very common, but it does allow you to take those white sharks we get later on and one-hit them, where we might and probably will see 2 spells being used once we get to the Sea Shrine here.
Assuming our runners decide to take the white sharks.
Go ahead.
A lot of runners do like to skip them.
They do like to skip them, but we have also good odds to see the other eye set, which is one of the best single target experience drops in the shrine.
And the great thing about the deep eye is it's also not very threatening. It hits for very pathetic amounts of melee damage, and also has skills that are not that threatening to the team at that point.
I think it's the devs deciding to even out for the big eyes just being cumbersome with no real upside in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not. I think it would be cool if the big eyes were worth a little bit more. So it looks like both of our runners are going to take different paths here. Hab is going to go pick up his haste spell now, and I'm guessing probably purchase some more items, since he was a bit shorter on his item purchases in Crescent Lake, since he bought the silver bracelets early on.
Looks like Patorikku going to the Dragon Isles, probably using the gil picked up here instead of an ice cave. Looks only be grabbing the X potion, not deciding to go for the elixir at all.
And I'm guessing he's going to keep that fighter dead until the trap tile this time. Reviving the fighter early did not pay off.
Yeah, not a bad decision, because there's a lot of things here that can slow down your fighter, kill that warrior. He won't be sinking in a lot of Phoenix Down costs. He knows that he has a petrification fight coming up, so he can just pick and choose when he wants to pick up the warrior here.
Now that fight is going to be a little annoying. He's going to have to slowly single target down the enemies in that fight to just have the Cocktail spells be there.
Here's the upside though. The warrior is dead. We get the best experience distribution going on the monks and the black mages. So all the experience going where you want it. We're not giving 25% away to the warrior. We're going to see some nice level ups where you normally would be slowed down by, what would that be, 8%?
Well, the fighter does take 25% of the XP, but I'm not sure exactly how much total XP that would be different. But the fighters, it's good also to not let the fighter get this extra XP because you don't want him to gain the more levels or the more magic defense to resist the petrification.
That is
But
also very true.
these fights are also becoming a bit more lucrative. Like every new dungeon, the enemies are with more and more average XP. And so having the fighter miss out on these is helpful.
This nightmare fight making it really easy for Pat to be able to flee here. One flees early on. Easy decision just to flee as well.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of fighting the nightmares unless there's like 3 of them. I don't feel like it's worth it for me. Alright, let's see how the fight goes for Patorikku.
Looks like he's just going to keep tanking. It is a 50% chance for that slot up top, but he does have to sit through the mummies. So we could see a gaze from these Powerless, which would be nice to see, but the mummies won't do anything at all.
I would personally use Thunder on the Paralisks so that they can't kill the fighter. Like that.
Oh.
Because one Thunder will take them out.
Looks like he's just going to clear the fight, which is probably the best option here. We'll see if he decides to reset.
And always wait until he picks up the Giant's Glove.
Looks like he's going to push forward. So, walk me through the next opportunity he has here to petrify that fighter.
So the best guaranteed fight is in the Sea Shrine when he picks up the Giant's Glove. That's the best guaranteed fight. There are some other random encounters that can petrify you. In the Sky Castle, you can fight the same trap tile as a random encounter, and you can also fight the green Medusas, and you can fight the Evil Eye again as a random encounter. Then also in the Temple of Fiends, on the Earth floor, there are 2 different enemies there which can also petrify you. So he has other chances to get him turned into a statue before the end of the game. But we want to do it sooner rather than later, as it's starting to get to the point it can become too late.
Yep, and what options does he have in the Chaos fight, or any of the other Fiend fights? Should the warrior not be petrified? I mean, what is that going to look like?
So if the warrior is not petrified for Chaos, that's going to lower his odds of actually being able to finish the battle dramatically. With this route, it is integral to have that statue. It would be a different story if we had like a healer, like a white mage who can actually spam Healaga every round to keep people alive, but we don't have a white mage to do that. So you are really relying on Chaos using single target abilities on that fighter to get us through the battle. But that's the waterfall done for Patorikku.
Yep, despite slowing down to take that fight, Pat is still ahead. I think mainly because Hob here is taking a lot more encounters than Pat decided to take. But we still have possible time loss later on for that second warrior petrification attempt.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about trying a 3-man run for most of the game, then getting the fighter petrified at like the tail end of the game, but it's just very risky. And I know it's at the point now where Patorikku just kinda has to. She just has to make do with what's happened.
And not entirely bad. Again, the experience distribution is going to be better. So we're going to see those mages level up about 33% faster. So every third fight is going to be basically like he took 4 fights.
And he's been taking less fights than Hab, but they're probably the same exact level. if not Patorikku being a little bit higher.
So a possibility we could see this as a new world record route, with a just absolutely broken petrification.
Oh yeah, there's ways you could utilize it in a world record attempt. And I think it has the best potential for the least amount of fights you need to take. But it just adds even more risk to the run, which is already got so many random things you have to worry about. So it looks like both runners are doing the double Blizzaga strategy.
Pat buying quite a bit there. Might be able to make it out of the game without having to come back to a shop.
I have a feeling he'll have to do another shop. I don't think he has enough healing items to make it through. It's possible if he got really lucky, but that hasn't been the name of the game for him so far this run.
And there we go. We have our rebreather. We're going to be able to, just like Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, be able to go down and visit the Gungan city on Naboo.
But yeah, we get to go to the Sea Shrine here, it's a pretty good dungeon. A lot of the fights there are worth a ton of experience, and they're not incredibly difficult. And unlike previous versions of this game, they are all runnable now. Before, there were 3 different encounters that were all unrunnable here, that you were forced to take no matter how high level you were. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good runnable encounter?
I mean, when I was growing up playing games, I used to have the mentality of I want to fight every encounter always. But as I got older and started speedrunning a bit, I now feel like I want to run from every.
Yeah, hey, this is not a good fight. I just want to get out of here. Definitely, yes. There was a game I used to grind to level 10, where now in the speedrun that I'm doing, you're only level 1, maybe level 2, when you go through that area. So there's definitely quite a difference in casual playthrough compared to speedrun.
I remember the very first time I played Final Fantasy 1, I would grind to level 4 on imps. Or goblins.
Whoa.
Yeah. That took a while. Especially on the NES.
Was this before or after the Garland fight?
Oh, before.
Oh. Quite fun.
Yeah, I was scared of going far from town at that point. So we're seeing Hab here take the Water Naga and Water Elemental play. It's worth good XP, but it does take a minimum of 2 spells to finish.
Yep, so there's a very real concept used when considering to take fights. 1 to 2 spells. You will sometimes see if it is a 2-spell fight, you'd rather just do flee attempts. The odds of that changes a little bit depending on how many enemies you get. The higher the stacks, the more likely you usually are to see a runner take that fight. For experience, but also if you fail those flee checks, you could be sitting for 6-8 more attacks, and that could mean a dead party member.
So I like to do it this way. If my monk has pretty terrible HP right now, I'll take all of the fights. If my monk has good HP, like Patorikku's, isn't bad at all. So I would run from all of the white shards. That's just how I do it.
How about halves HP?
I would take every fight.
You take everyone. And that's
a single white shard.
That's a difference of 5 HP there, Shane.
It's not 5 off it, isn't it? Like 280 something to 230 something?
I thought I saw he's 289.
Let me see.
But, okay.
It is like 5 points off. Okay, oh wait, was that the monk? fighter. Let me see. Yeah, Patorikku's got 294, which is acceptable. I think Hab is a lot lower than that. We'll see here in a minute when he gets to his next fight.
To give Shane a little credit, we are looking at a restream, which is a little harder to see than the actual stream here. So I definitely understand. I was seeing different numbers last race. So
yeah, I'll look at the regular stream for a second. So okay, he's got 289. So yeah, they're both actually acceptable. I thought he was at 230 something. But yeah, it looks like both of their monks HP are acceptable. I think near 300, I can do.
okay.
But if it's like 250-ish, I'm taking every single.
So I know you like to have the monk endgame at 350. Where are you placing your minimum black mage HP value?
I actually don't have a minimum black mage. I prefer that they're both at like 250. But
okay.
if I have a black mage with 180 hit points on chaos, I'll take it. He can still survive a blaze. So that's good enough.
So let's say 350 monk HP here in Sea Shrine, and 180 on those black mages. Are you taking these fights that you normally flee from?
Nope, I'll run.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, we definitely hear these difference of strats. Some people really want to get those black mages up. Some, like Shane here, really valuing the monk HP.
I just assume my black mages are going to be dead for every important fight leaving that battle.
I mean, you aren't wrong there. We do see the monk last one standing on a lot of these fights. The later we get into the game.
Yeah, I like to prioritize monk HP over mages by a lot. But runners have different choices on that, and different comfortabilities with different values. I know a lot of runners don't want to go into, like, Temple of Doom's under 200 HP period on their mages.
And it really just comes down to what the game decides to give you at the end of the day here.
So I'm guessing Patorikku's going to revive his fighter here, right before the Gauntlet's forced encounter. It'll be one more battle, then he can revive him. And if he doesn't do it here, he's gonna have to just get really lucky later on.
Let's go ahead and I'm gonna pull up the chart here and let's look at the black mage HP increases. 1, 2, 3,
Level 24 is the last one that we're going to get in a speedrun.
I think it's 26 in Pixel Remaster, at least I'm seeing on this chart.
It could be 26, it's one of those two. Then they don't get another one until like mid-30s, which we don't get that high level like ever.
Yep, 35. So otherwise we get 5 good HPs, starting out with 25. That means you could be sitting at somewhere around 140 HP if you get no good HP ups by the time we get up to 26. That's quite low.
That is very low. But that's sometimes what you get with a black mage. They aren't known for being healthy. Especially in the Pixel Remaster version. So this fight is not cooperating very well for Patorikku, finally getting petrified. But yeah, I definitely am a fan of taking out the Paralisks, then taking out the regular mummies. Just to lower the amount of hits that you have to sit through.
Really hard to do with just those thunder spells, unfortunately. What he could have done is gone back to Cornelia, picked up some fire spells, would do 50% extra damage there, but just unfortunate to have a fight where you have to take out extra enemies to make it more salvageable for a petrification instance.
But he did manage to pull through, and he's not that far behind Hab because of it. He did have to wait there a little bit longer than he wanted to. But he's only like 2 encounters behind Hab, I believe.
2 encounters behind Hab. Looks like his lower HP is just a little bit above what Hab has, so I think their setup is quite similar actually.
And I'm not sure if he's higher level than Hab. With the fighter being dead for so long, it's definitely possible.
Yep, Hab could have some more levels to get that HP. We're really gonna see once we get an actual.
I think Patorikku's 2 levels higher than Hab.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's 27 to 25.
Okay, so Pat having already passed by that good HP up that we talked about, but closer to the Monk HP up that we should be seeing at level 30.
Yeah, the Monk gets a strong hit point up at 30, and then again at 32. And that's
So-
when the Monk finally starts to gain hit points. The whole early game, the Monk doesn't gain HP like at all. Until you hit 30, then he finally starts to come online. The Monk is the definition of a late game character.
So for the Monk, his hits and his damage is tied into his stamina and agility. How important is if we get an agility or stamina stat increase? What are we seeing for damage increase on the Monk in that case?
It's not a whole lot. Strength also helps out his damage, but it's not that noticeable with how many tempers and sabers we throw up. The main thing you can hope for is actually agility. That'll just give you a couple extra swings if you've gained enough agility, which is pretty rare. But sometimes you'll see people swinging. Oh, look at this! Both Krakens
Wow.
going down at the same
Yeah.
time.
Basically synchronized. I think Pat just a little bit faster. We're seeing 27 on that mage, the bottom mage for Pat.
So yeah, this is anyone's race right now. That's perfect. Now I believe the runners are going to separate a little bit here. I'm pretty sure Patorikku's going to go by haste and then go to the volcano, while Hab is going to go grab his chime and then go to Mirage Tower.
And I believe Hab has also already bought in haste, so that also
Yes.
gives a little bit of a time advantage for Hab here.
Yes, that is correct. Looks like Patorikku's going to do his final item purchases here, this is when I like to buy my final set of items.
It is a little bit closer than the item shop in Cornelia, so if you do have the money, you could do it here as long as you don't spend all these items, but usually this is late enough where you don't have to worry about that too much.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to run through all of your potions at this point. Even if you're healing up like all the time after every battle, you can still make those potions last pretty easily to the end game. But yeah, as we were saying before though about the Monk's level ups, if you get some good agility level ups, you can notice your Monk punching like 24 times compared to 20 times. Which, it's only the difference of one actual swing on the Monk. But that can help out.
We're seeing Pat actually go up to Melmond here, I think. Or Melmond, right? Yeah.
Yep, Elmon to buy 2 silver armlets.
2 silver armlets. Probably will decipher the slab as well. We'll see if he still decides to go to Flying Fortress or hop down to Volcano.
I'm pretty sure he goes to Volcano here, that's just the route that he likes to go, and also pick up double haste. Because it's pretty close to Elfland.
Yeah, I love a good double haste this late in the game. You usually have the money, you pick it up, it gives you that pivot ability on Chaos or any of the other fiends to just, when it goes down, the other mage will cast haste, just considering how important haste is to cast here.
Yeah, I usually stick with the single haste, and I never double tap Elfland. I just leave him alone. But I just risk it with the one haste, so if my haste user goes down, I'm kinda screwed. But yeah, double haste is definitely the safe way to go about it. And Hab here is going to go grab his chime.
Good RNG luck on positioning of the NPCs, not really getting in the way too much.
Yeah, nobody likes the toga party. Because those NPCs, they can really just sit in your way for a while. So on Patorikku's screen here, we're seeing him try to intentionally walk on lava. Lava tiles are just tiles where you take 1 point of damage for each of your characters, including your statues, but it will not kill you if you get to 1 HP. But you cannot get into a random encounter on the lava tile. So our runners try to take as many lava tiles as possible.
Yep, and if while on lava tile, counter threat goes up. If you do take the stairs on that last step before encounter, it does reset, like you'll see here. It just resets, so he'll get a lot of steps instead of getting that first encounter step here. A strat you can use other places if you know kind of where you're at step-wise to skip an encounter on certain floors.
And on Hab's screen here, this is the encounter I was talking about in Mirage Tower that you can also get petrified if you really need it.
Is this a forced one, or is this a...
Nope, this is just a random encounter on the second floor.
A little hard to set up too, especially with some of these other encounters that you can get.
Yeah, it is relatively common, but it's not one of the most common. I want to say it's in the second group, like the 1 out of 8, which is still relatively common. And most fights in the volcano, we're seeing Patorikku just run from them all. Unless he fails to flee like this. Because most of those fights are just not worth much experience anymore. We're supposed to come to this dungeon before the ice cave, but there isn't really anything worthwhile here for us to grab, so we just don't come back till later.
Yeah, I think the only encounter I would think to take would be those red dragons. We have Blizzaga already, so it'd be a 1 turn. Worth a little bit if you still need a little bit, but otherwise, it's just Flea City up in here.
I don't mind taking the fire lizards, double fire elementals, double red giants, and then the red dragon. I don't mind any of those encounters.
That's quite a long list, considering this you're only supposed to flee Shane. Like, wow.
I know. I usually set up a flea on my monk, then my black mage, then I have my bottom mage, Blizzaga always. And I just try and flee and Blizzaga everything. That's what I like to do.
Yep, one of the...
It's just a guarantee that I'll get out in one fight on it.
Very true.
So, Patorikku is going to do our endgame boss strategy here of Giant's Gloves, Haste, Temper.
So another strat you could do here, and it's going to take the same amount of turns, is just Blizzaga. So we could Elemental carry down here. Doesn't have a lot of health, so it's still a strat you could choose to do, considering if something goes wrong to the monk, or if you just don't want to bring the monk up this early.
Yeah, Blizzaga does decent damage. And there she goes. As you can see, the monk with his cool shades there, that doesn't really do anything to him. In the Pixel Remaster, our accuracy is so high that it gets to the point where you're not missing enemies. Even when you lose 40 accuracy for your attacks, it just doesn't matter. Every swing is still hitting. So it's a kind of useless status effect that only affects you when you're like on the Astos fight.
And that's also something we wouldn't see here if we did go to Flying Fortress first, as we do pick up a 3rd ribbon that would have blocked that status ailment.
Yep, Hab already picked up his 3rd ribbon for his monk, and he will probably unpetrify the monk once he gets up to the Tiamat battle. Some runners will opt to revive the monk as soon as we get to the top floor, just in case they see Warmech that they can try and take it. But most runners don't want to try and fight Warmech.
Personally, as soon as we get that ribbon, I like to get up the monk. Allows the extra flea checks early on. But again,
I'm a big
personal
fan of
preference
doing
kind of
that
thing.
too.
Oh, very nice.
Yep, I always do that. As soon as I get that ribbon, I just throw it on him and bring him up.
Yep. Love a good run validation.
But yeah, we'll see if there's a Warmech. He got his fight pretty close to the teleporter, so there's a possibility that Hab only gets one fight on the Warmech floor. So we'll see what happens. Warmech is very rare.
That was a little early. We might see a second one here.
Yes, there's definitely a chance that we'll get a second fight.
Nope.
But nope, just the one. Now it's up to Patorikku for us to see a Warmech.
Tiamat 1, what I like to think of as they accidentally flipped Tiamat 1 and 2, because Tiamat 1 a lot scarier than Tiamat 2, but all the second version of the Fiend's a lot scarier than the first, usually. Tiamat 1 being a very, very tricky fight. I think it was a little tricky for Hab last time. We'll see if he has the same trouble here.
So Tiamat 1 is generally considered harder than Tiamat 2 because Tiamat 2, for some reason, is given a bunch of third tier elemental spells, which are not very threatening at that point in the game. If they would have given Tiamat the third spells like Ice 3, Thunder 3, Fire 3, then she could be more threatening. But no. Tiamat 1 only has powerful AoE skills, which all break 100 damage on every character. And if Hab doesn't have good turn order healing here, his monk is probably going to die.
Oh, all things considered.
It could have been worse there.
Tiamat
And
down.
first try Tiamat. I like to see that, because Tiamat is one of the hardest fights in the game. It goes Lich 1, Tiamat 1, then like the end fights. Those are like the most difficult ones. Because any of the Fiend refights can take you out if they just aren't playing friendly.
Yep, considering most people will rank Astos before Kraken and carry one. Kind of goes to show you just which fights if you get bad luck on, are really bad luck, and other ones that are more of just the game just not cooperating.
Yeah, a lot of the boss battles people can rank them in different orders. I definitely consider Kraken 1 to be one of the easier Fiend fights with this route, because even if he punches a mage, you can just revive him with a Phoenix down and continue on. And Merilith 1 isn't too challenging either, because with a ribbon, pro ring, and a diamond glove on your monk, he can tank 2 hits from her pretty easily, unless they both crit. Now Hab's monk currently does not have a pro ring on, which means he will take more damage, because I'm pretty sure he only bought 2 pro rings and has them on both of his black mages.
Point out on Pat's last fight before the golems was the Black Flans, the evolution of the oozes. Probably one of my favorite fights, as they don't do a lot, go down in 1 Faraga, but most people, oddly enough, don't like to take them, even though they're worth 1,000 experience a pop. Can be a very lucrative fight late game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just not sure when they should take them, because they're not really worth taking if it's only like 3 of them. But when there's more than that, they can be a pretty good battle, and they are easy to kill.
Definitely. This 5-pack, you'll see a 7-pack in Topher. One of my favorites.
Yeah, you can see up to 8 of them in a group in the Temple of Fiends. And that's a good chunk of XP. So no War Mech today.
Oh, sorry, Rokeby. No war mech for you.
Maybe by the end of this tournament, see at least one War Mech.
Yep, we have at least, I think at least 20 individual games left to play. So I'm not sure of War Mech's drop chance, but there's still a chance.
Yeah, War Mech is a pretty rare fight. I think it is the single rarest encounter in the game in this version. I feel like they really changed around the odds of a lot of the rare enemies, and most of them are pretty common. So Patorikku accidentally targeting his top mage there with one of the tempers.
But two free turns. Wow, what that must feel like.
So some people like seeing the black mages with a temper or a haste because they get the crazy red eyes.
Yep.
And they're just shows how angry the black mage is.
Yep, red eyes, black mage.
There we go,
Yeah,
Tiamat down. First try for Patorikku.
Black mage is up. We'll get a little better experience share for Patorikku. While Hab's taking down Malairith, it is neck and neck.
Yeah, it looks like Hab is probably only going to be like 30 to 40 seconds behind Patorikku. So that's not bad at all. It's a very close race. I'm not sure if our runners can sub 2 at this point.
So
I think
normally,
it's possible, but not likely.
I don't think it's possible. So normally you would see like a 15-minute Topher, both runners at about 150, exiting their last Fiend fight. I think we're going to see maybe a 203 for first turn, if we get just the greatest Topher, but I don't think a 10-minute end here is possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on the time. I think 12 minutes is what I would think. But we'll see what happens. So both runners entering the Temple of Fiends at, what, like 4 seconds apart? Up a little bit longer for Hab since he's using the Cotters. We've actually had a lot of pretty close races so far. A lot of the fights will come down to chaos.
Chaos. I'm getting unlucky with a fight. Personally, I like to clear this out because as what's happening here, Hab just failing flea check after flea check.
Yeah, one Thundara will take out the whole group.
It's funny to see you've taken on all these powerful enemies, and then these just starter enemies decide to say, nope, you have to stay here for a little bit longer.
I actually prefer to get my encounter on the first floor of Temple of Fiends before you go downstairs, because those fights are easier.
It's very true. Better encounter, easier clear. So it looks like Pat is declining the 4-pack of green dragons. Probably one of the most lucrative fights in the entire game you can take for experience. Declined it, so I think that's a very good sign that Pat is very comfortable with health here, is just going for the quick movement, going to try to get to chaos as quick as possible. No encounters, nothing probably is what we'll see.
I think he just knows that the race is close, and he's gonna risk not taking the extra XP. He just wants to hope that he gets through quickly. While Hab, on the other hand, is taking a lot more fights. And unfortunate to see that Bar Fire spell come out, which is why a lot of times when you fight Vampire Lords, you want to cast Thundaga, because 2 Thundagas will take them out, just like 2 Fire-Egas, but they don't have Bar Thunder.
I think it's just the easier decision here, because you know they're undead, you know that Faraga is going to do some good damage, but yeah, that No Blaze can be pretty nasty if you see a larger pack and get that.
And Fire-Aga is also the spell you want to cast when you're fighting the Phantom, or the Evil Eye. Or Death Eye, whatever he's called now. I definitely don't mind switching up my spells to make sure that I'm one-shotting things, but runners all have their own preferences.
I think it really depends also if you get that preempt off. You know, switching the spell compared to, you know, being able to two-cast. The time could look pretty similar depending on how quick you can fumble through your spell cast.
And this elixir here on the right of Hab is the last one that most runners acquire.
Yep,
And so,
left side, Dry Ether, good for 5 MP, so 5 spells.
generally only used when you have a white mage. They're the only ones that you generally need more spells on. If you're gonna spam Hilaga on the Chaos fight,
Yeah,
having
imagine that.
2 Dry Ethers can save the day.
Definitely. Where would you pick up your second Dry Ether, Shane?
There's another one in the Cardia Isles.
Okay.
The far left island, there is a really quick to pick up Dry Ether there.
Anybody in chat looking to do a white mage route? Dry Ethers.
Oh yes, they save the day, especially if you have your mage alive still, which you can either use a red mage or a black mage there. And as long as you keep your mage alive, they can just throw Ethos on your white mage whenever your mage is low on Hilagas, and you can just spam Hilaga the entire Chaos fight.
Definitely a route I might do eventually just for fun for that easier chaos.
Oh yes, Patorikku's monk survives, that's what matters.
It could work out. Let's see what we get.
So Flare is a very scary skill
Take
to see
3 hits.
from Lich.
One more turn here. Maybe 2. There it is.
Alright, Lich 2 goes down for Patorikku.
Whew.
He's a little bit ahead of Hab, who's been taking some extra fights for the bonus XP.
And got past probably one of the worst themes you could see with that flare. Can be really nasty sometimes.
Yeah, his monk got lucky. That Lich didn't have a lot of luck himself. Because a lot of times, Lich's flare will do like 330 damage to your monk. But getting through in one round, that's what we need.
Yep. Now we're on to the shorter fire floor for Malirith.
Yeah, there's not really much here. There are a few chests on this floor. There is a pro cape you can pick up if you want one of your mages to have more armor, which I love to do if I'm using a white mage. So your white mage can tank a punch from Chaos. There's also a katana here. The second katana in the game if you have 2 ninjas. And there's also the final elixir on this floor.
We see a reorder for Monk bottom slot. Carry is a swiper. We want swiper, no swiping in this scenario.
Yeah, once you hit the Merilith 2 fight, most runners will throw the monk in the bottom slot and he'll sit there for the rest of the run. Because all of the fights from Merilith 2 and onwards can just take out your monk real easily. And you don't want to see that. So 2 punches should take out Merilith.
Might be worth it. Okay.
Hab here starting his Lich 2 battle. We hope for no flares, because flare, well, it's a long cast time animation, and it really hurts.
What we're really hoping to see over any floor here is those preempts for Pat. Woo! Wow, that flare just allowing Hab to get through. Wow.
No one died, but that's 2 high potions on each character he needs to use up.
Looks like he has 50 left. He should be sitting comfortably still. I think.
Yeah, I know some runners start to struggle with their resources at this point, but normally, if you buy up after C Shrine, you should be fine for the rest of the game.
Yep. It is. I forget, where's the healing helm located to pick up?
So there are actually 2 healing helmets in the game. There is one on the bottom floor of Mirage Tower, and there's another one on the first floor of Sky Castle. So there are 2 healing helmets that you can pick up in the game.
So those of you who don't know, healing helmet would be our only recourse of casting a healing spell.
Now
it's kind of like Giant's Glove.
Kind of like that, except it's an AoE heal spell for the whole party, which is actually pretty weak compared to a single target high potion if we are only caring about keeping the monk alive. So here we are fighting 2 different fiends at the same time.
Yep. Polar opposites an element. Maybe we can just swap. We'll just have our black mages fight our black mages, and Kraken can take on carry. That would be kind of fun to see.
Kraken's punches definitely hit a little bit harder than Marilyn's, though. As you saw, even the defending mages with nearly 300 HP were getting taken out one shot.
Alright, Patorikku has a nice lead here, having only 2 random encounters left. Hab has to go through the very encounter-heavy C Shrine floor, Kraken floor, if you will.
And Patorikku has 2 more random encounters left, up to Chaos.
Death Touch.
And there we see the Death Touch going through the ribbon. Somebody was asking me the other day if that was still in the game, and I told them I didn't think it was, but it could be, and we see it going down right there. It's not a big deal, because it's not like we were in a boss fight. But that was an unfortunate ambush.
Easiest fiend up.
I mean, if you take Tiamat 2 too lightly, she can still kill you.
That's very true.
But as long as she sticks to her tier 3 spells, she isn't a big threat.
Yep. Just hoping to not see the punchy Tiamat here. Nice target on top slot. Should be ready to hit. 14.
So Tiamat 2 has 5,500 HP. So it looks like this is going to be a 4-round attack.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Should have probably tempered there, but looks like we'll get away with it. Tiamat 2 down.
Yeah, because he was throwing out the high potion earlier that took off one of the tempers. Normally you want to try and take Tiamat out in 3 swings. But 4 can get the job done also. So 1 more random encounter for Patorikku, then we've got Chaos.
Yep, looks like Pat's gonna get first try, maybe even be able to sync up a second try should it be needed. So definitely advantage here for Patorikku going in. It's gonna be about 2 minutes for a fight time here. We could see a 2:04 finish, but we could see Troll Chaos here. Anything can happen in the K-Octagon.
So this is still a pretty close race. If Patorikku wipes 1 time to Chaos, they'll be neck and neck. And Chaos really has the choice there. Patorikku does not. It's all, what does Chaos do?
Yep, 2 things we need to make sure we have here in this fight. We need to get that monk up to close to max HP, which is going to be a 999 value, as well as get the haste off on the monk. Once that happens, the monk can pretty much make up for the rest of it with his Giant's Glove. So we're just hoping to see this second turn come off. It looks like we did get it, so we should have a decent try here from Patorikku.
Hab taking out Tiamat 2 first try. So he's just a little bit behind, but it still can be anyone's game, especially with that haste on Chaos.
Yep, without a haste, you could expect a 400 hit. With haste, we can be expecting anywhere between 700 to over 900 damage.
Yeah, if Chaos crits the monk, it can do over 999 damage. And there's literally no way you can stop that with this current party setup in this route.
Over 9,000, exactly. No.
And Patorikku only picked up the one full heal item in Cardia Isle. So
he's gonna risk it.
He doesn't have any other choice.
Oh, that's Tsunami. Oh, that must be hurting really much. If he would have had that other item, we could have been in a really nice spot here for Patorikku.
And that's the risk of only picking up the 2 full heals compared to the standard race safety of 3.
Yeah, 3 really where we want to be. 4 even comfier if you have a really bad chaos. Definitely anyone's game.
So Hab had a good first turn there and second turn for getting up all of his buffs, and looks like his team is still full health.
That monk tanking a shot.
It's not very often when a black mage can survive a punch from Chaos. So Hab's in a great position here.
Pat's able to get off a good set of turns. We got haste, we got max HP. Have a little bit of health left. Blizzara, exactly what we want to see.
And
looks
Hab's
like
about all buffed up, ready to fight Chaos.
It's going to be pretty close here. Pat has the extra advantage of having the mages to help out.
Hab doing 6,400 damage in one hit. Like to see that. He needs 2 more swings, 1 more swing on Chaos. And that's it. GG to Hab.
GG Hab. Wow.
He got a first try Chaos.
Again. I don't think he's had anything other than first try Chaoses this entire tournament.
Nice. My first 2 runs were 10 try Chaos.
And sad, there goes the 5-1 triple tie for Group A. But GG to Hab for that 6-0 sweep. I know he definitely wasn't expecting it. Let's go ahead and mark him as done here. And get him an invite. I'm sure we're going to hear some excessive yelling. But GG to Patorikku as well.
He got
wow, a 41
Chaos.
Second difference. That is absolutely nuts. Hello, Hab.
Good evening.
So, just awful defeat by no, I'm just joking. Congratulations on the 6-0 win.
I can't believe it. When my cheat engine crashed shortly before Lich, I really thought it was done for, but worked out in the end.
Oh man, your Lich fight was something else, huh?
And other times Blizzara kills us all. Especially that with 2 mages that have enough HP to actually live a Blizzara instead of just instantly die to it.
Yeah, Lich kept doing the same few things to you over and over again. I was saying on the cast that if I was stuck in a situation like that, I would do a couple panic steps before I started the battle to see if I could just get a different start to the fight. But you just pushed through it, and I mean, both runs had some bad stuff in the early game. Yours was Lich. Patorikku was, he was struggling a lot earlier than that. His Marsh Cave, he fought like 50 groups of scorpions.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was a rough start for him. But it was actually a very close race between you guys for most of the game.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that early start there, it would have been a a little bit of a difference. I'm not sure if that would have how much that would have made, because RNG being different could have done anything to the run, but yeah, 30 seconds. Again, Patorikku getting in 30 seconds. This is kind of a heartbreak. This is 2 times in a row Patorikku getting in 30 seconds beforehand and ending up not able to pull out that win. That's unfortunate.
The other thing is, for me, I still have to say, I think my Chaos AI is broken. That's something I did. I mean, this is the 3rd run in a row that I get him first try without him even putting up a fight.
Yeah, must be nice.
To be fair, it was Kalux for this one. If he had it in his hands the last turn.
Yep, we might have seen a different one if Patorikku would have had that 3rd all heal. Unfortunately, only had 2.
Yeah,
I think that was the major difference. Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, I also just had 2 and it nearly bite me, but that's just the RNG sometimes. You try to save some time at the one place, might make you lose time in another.
It's still a pretty close race. I mean, you guys were, what, 40-something seconds apart?
Oh boy, that close.
Yeah.
Looks like we'll get Patorikku in here shortly, hopefully. Hello, Patorikku. GG on the race.
Unfortunately, we did not manage to get a first try Chaos, but at least we took him out in the 2nd try. You guys were only like 40 seconds apart.
Pat, you're muted. Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, that was something. I don't think I've ever had to reload 6 times in Marsh before.
Yeah, your Marsh Cave was fun with all those scorpions.
Yeah, very, very unlucky, but I mean, all things considered, pulling out a 2:06 from a 38-minute Dwarf Cave entrance, really, really good turnaround. I think definitely you put up a very good showing despite the start.
Yeah, I had a 102 Lich, which is 12 minutes behind where I think you want to be.
Yeah, it's a little slow. To be fair, had like an 8th try Lich.
Yeah, lost 5.5 minutes total on Lich.
He was spamming Blizzara and Fyra non-stop.
And the one time where he didn't, well, I ran out of casts, because he only killed 1 mage, the other one went out of casts. And then he put the Blizzara in me.
Well, one thing I definitely want to hear about, because I think it's very unique for the whole tournament, was the warrior strats going in there, having them dead, having to do a very late petrification. What were your thoughts in the race on that, and how did that progress for you, Pat?
So basically the idea was I came out, I got the crown a little over 5 minutes after my PB, and then on the way out I was still having trouble. So once the warrior died on Astos, I kind of realized that like the only way I'd have a shot at actually coming back and winning would be if I skipped basically every fight in Sky Castle and Mirage Tower and Temple of Fiends, except for the required ones. And the only way to do that would be to get all of the experience on the remaining 3 characters. So I just said, alright, screw it, I'll just leave the fighter dead for basically as long as possible. Somebody had mentioned that I guess Thunderclaw did a strat where he got into Earth Floor 3 and then with a dead warrior and then revived them. So I tried doing that, warrior died, and then later I tried to get him up again, he died again. I tried to get him on the Force Trap Tile in Waterfall, he got gazed, he does not have a pro ring, so he died again. And then basically my last shot was the Giant's Glove, picking that up. That's kind of the last guaranteed spot that you're going to get cockatrices. So.
Yeah, either that one or the forced one in Waterfall in front of the cube.
Yeah, I tried that one. He got gazed and died, so I had to end the fight.
Yeah, I was saying on the cast, I was surprised that you didn't cast Thunder on the Perilous to keep yourself from getting dazed. But it's a tough fight. It's annoying trying to have to single target down those enemies.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid. I just didn't feel like doing that.
And as I mentioned it on the cast, then all of a sudden the gaze came out, and it's like, well, what we didn't want to see.
Yeah, exactly. Gazed the wrong dude.
Yeah. Jerkbirds will be jerkbirds.
No matter the color.
Definitely a good race between you guys, though. It went back and forth. Like, one person was ahead, then the other, and it kept jumping back and forth, and the whole, like, end game after... Right after Ice Cave, you guys were, like, neck and neck for, like, the whole rest of the run. So it was interesting to watch.
There definitely is one thing that I hate about this tournament so far, and that's every single race, the commentators said something like that, and that made me want to watch the run. I still have to watch like 5 of my 6 races.
Oh, there you go. I'm glad we've encouraged you. We've done a good enough job to make you want to go back and watch.
Yeah, but I mean, that's literally 10 hours of content.
Yeah, I've gone back and only watched like half of my runs back. Eventually, I'll get to all of them, but
well, I think we can say one thing here is that thanks Hab for winning here. You're not going to force a 3-way race between myself, you, and Pat or Leggy at this point. So it definitely takes the pressure off of us to represent Group A at the very least.
And all I can say is, hope everyone enjoyed this victory. This was my last one. No matter who I'm going up in the next round, I don't think I stand a chance against any of the Group B people.
I think you've said that every single race so far, so I don't believe you.
No.
Sorry, Hab.
For this race here with Patorikku, I said it's gonna get close. I said I don't think I can win this. This is gonna come down to something stupid. Which it apparently did, because Marsh Cave being stupid counts as stupid. And the difference still is that even though I improved dramatically over the last few weeks over these races, I still don't think I can compete with the likes of Thunderclot or whoever else is second in the group right now.
as of right now, Thunder is the only person undefeated in Group B.
Well, let me put this out for you. In the Final Fantasy Relay, I think you put up a 1:58 time or something like that. So I think you definitely have a shot at it.
As I said, if chaos is chaos and something stupid happens, I definitely have a shot. But I count my losses at this point. I personally, if I were a betting man, from this point onward, it would up to this point, most races would have been a coin flip for me, actually, on who I'd bet. Next race, no matter who my opponent is from Group B, I'm definitely gonna bet against me. If I were a betting man. But hey, maybe I can surprise myself. Maybe I can clutch a victory somehow. In the end, it's Final Fantasy 1, RNG's RNG. And we'll see how it goes. Nothing is over until Chaos HP dropped to 0.
Yep. So, any final thoughts from our runners?
Nope.
Not really.
Join us, guys, and be sure to check out our runners. I'm sure they'll be speedrunning many other games throughout the future. And definitely thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting this tournament. They've got like 6 different SpeedGaming channels, 1 through 6. Be sure to check them out. And Captain, you know what's coming up next?
Yep, I do. So we have some more races coming up. I think there might be a scheduling thing going on here because I'm seeing double entries of it, but the very person we mentioned, former world record holder, but definitely very, very strong runner, Thunderclaw. It's going up against FF Steve sometime, either Monday or Tuesday. But we definitely do have 2 races on Wednesday that are already scheduled. Don't have any particular streams to target yet. They haven't been scheduled out. But should be looking at it early morning about 8 a.m. Eastern Standard, and one in the evening about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. So you have those to look forward to. I know we have many more races. You'll probably see more come in there. So it's not over for the tournament yet. We still have some more races for Group A, some more races for Group B. So just stay tuned and look out for those.
No
You'll
more
probably
races
see
for
some
me.
more
I'm done.
commentators. And you have Hab's, hopefully his contender race here with Thundercloud. We'll see. But thank you all for watching. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Hab, for the race. It was very fun to watch and commentate. Very close. And I would say a strong, considering race scenario, a very strong race overall for both of you.